Hello and welcome back to Beckler Guitars and Repairs, and today I'm going to show you how to custom paint and refinish your guitar in about 3 hours. Okay, so I just got this guitar back together and I'm very happy with the way it turned out. So some of you guys may remember this guitar. It's that Donner hollow body that I reviewed maybe a week or two ago. I was really happy with this guitar for the price. I think it was about $380 Canadian on sale, and it was just super high quality. Made of really good materials. It played and sounded great. So I wanted to keep this guitar, but I wanted to give it a little bit more of like personal flair. Just kind of customize it to how I like it. So I went ahead and refinished it. So my first step was painting it with acrylic paint and then refinishing it. So I'm going to go through all the steps and how I did that today. I did have video of the entire build process, but I had a SD card corrupt on me, so I lost all that footage, but that's alright. We're going to go ahead and through the steps anyway. And on my next build, I'll make sure I capture all the steps on tape or on film. Alright, so yeah, just a little bit about this artwork. I'm a huge Hunter S. Thompson fan. Yeah, he's like one of my favorite authors. And he has an artist do all of his covers and stuff for him, and a lot of his art. His name is Ralph Steadman, and he kind of has that like messy, scary looking style. Here, I'll throw a couple of his art pieces on the video here so you can have a look. And this last piece is what I used for inspiration for this. So yeah, we've got our fear and loathing words there, and then blood splatters throughout, and then we kind of have the crazy eyeballs floating, and then that little guy there is supposed to be Hunter S. Thompson losing his mind on drugs or something. And then on the headstock I've got the Gonzo fist. So that's the kind of the Hunter S. Thompson insignia is Gonzo journalism. And his symbol is this two-thumbed fist holding a peyote button. So yeah. Again, the art style of this guitar is kind of just that messy Ralph Steadman kind of style. Alright, so yeah, and it really did turn out nicely. It's got a nice gloss finish over top of the paint. And I'll try to capture it in the light here, but yeah, there's no orange peel. I didn't even have to buff it. This finish that I use is really nice. All you have to do is put it on pretty thick, and it settles nicely on the guitar and dries into a nice clear gloss. And you don't really need to do anything else after that. No buffing or anything else like that. So yeah, with this finish you're able to get something like this done in about 3 hours, which is pretty astounding actually. So I'm just going to go over the steps. Okay, so first step was to remove all the hardware from the guitar. So first I removed all the knobs. An easy way to get the knobs off if they're stuck is to just shimmy a cloth underneath like so, and then give it even pressure when you pull up, and they'll pop off easy without damaging the knob. So yeah, I took off the strings, I removed the tailpiece, I removed the tailpiece screws here, I removed the bridge screws that plug into the body there. I removed the pick guard, I removed the pickups. What I did is I removed the pickup rings from the pickups, and then I just seated the humbuckers in the cavity, and then I taped over top just so that the humbuckers didn't get any finish on them when I was finishing. So that, and then I put little pieces of tape over top of the output jack, the switch here. I loosened that off and just popped it through the body, and then just put a little piece of tape over the cavity. And that just protected everything, all the components from getting finish on them. Yeah, so that's it for the body really. And then on the headstock, you just got to make sure that you remove all of your machine heads. So these just come right off. There's one nut on the end, and then they have a little like ferrule that screws into the back of the machine head. So all you do is remove that bolt, and then there's one screw in the back of the machine heads that you remove from the body, and then the whole thing just pops out. And then just set everything aside in a little dish or something so you don't lose everything. And then you want to start with step 2. Alright, step 2 is easy enough. Step 2 is basically just taping off the entire body. So what I did is I knew I just wanted to finish the top of this guitar and the headstock, and just the top of the headstock. I wanted to leave the sides and the back alone. I didn't want any finish on there. So all I did was basically use this blue tape and carefully tape up the sides and the back of the body and on the headstock. I didn't worry about the neck. You can also blue tape off the neck if you're worried about getting any finish or anything like that, because we're using a spray, like a rattle can finish. So you don't have a lot of control of where that thing sprays. It has a big wide spray, area. So you want to make sure that anything that you don't want finish on, you have it taped off. So yeah, I went all the way around the sides here, taped up the sides, taped up the back. I made sure that my tape was flush with the top, so that there wasn't any overhang on the top or anything else like that. And then I just taped off the corner of the neck here. So just along the binding, I put some tape. Just tape off anything that you don't want finish on. So basically, we just want to put finish on the top and on the headstock. So make sure you take your time with your tape, and that's going to be step number 2. Alright, so step 3 is pretty self-explanatory. It's painting. So I like to use acrylic paints. They work really well over top of finish, and they dry quickly, and they're easy to work with too. So this is Magic Fly acrylic paint. I bought a big box with about 24 different ones, different colors, off Amazon. I'm going to provide the link in the description if you want to check that out. They're just basic acrylic paints. They're inexpensive, and they work just fine for what we're doing here. And then this one's called Montmartre. It's just a bigger white that I use. So these are the only 3 colors that I used for this guitar, was black, red, and white. Then yeah, just any standard paintbrush. What I did to clean my paintbrush, like this is just basic, painting stuff. I'm no artist by any stretch of the imagination, but I found this pretty easy. You just get a cup of water here and just clean off your brush between colors and wipe it off with like some paper towel so that your brush is clean before changing colors. And then yeah, you can just take your time painting on the guitar. For example, this is actually really forgiving paint, because especially when you're over top of a finish. So let's say you're doing this word here and you mess up a spot. You can actually clean off the paint with like a paper towel or a microfiber cloth before it dries, and then just redo it. So as much time as you want to take doing that, you can really make it as perfect as you want. Then the next step is just waiting for the paint to dry, and then you're ready for your finish. Step 4 is finishing the guitar. So by finishing, I mean just putting a gloss or a gloss type finish over top of the paint to protect the paint. This protects the paint from, flaking off or scratching off. So this is a nice clear, thicker sort of, I would say it's like a poly finish. And this just protects any artwork that you put on the guitar, so you can't scratch it off or rub off or anything else like that. And it actually goes on really easily, really clear, and dries pretty quickly, and it doesn't need any buffing or anything like that. It dries into a really nice clear finish. A lot of the other finishes you need to buff out or whatever, but that's not needed on this one. It doesn't leave like an orange peel effect. It's really nice stuff to work with. And I've done a couple guitars like this with this, and it's always the best option that I've found. So this is the Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch Ultra Cover 2x Clear Gloss. And yeah, it's not too expensive. I think it's like $9 Canadian can. And one can will do one guitar easily. So yeah, awesome stuff. It works really nice. So what you want to do is after you're done painting, when your paint's all finished and your tape is good, you make sure everything's taped up before you put the finish on. You just want to make sure that the guitar is sitting nice and level. I just put mine on a bench just to make sure it's nice and level. The level thing is important because when this finish goes on, you want it to be sitting level so the finish doesn't pool in any places. And you want to just go nice and light. What I like to do is I'll shine a light on the guitar so I can see exactly where the finish has been covered. And then you just want to make sure you're not dripping or letting it pool in any areas. Just a nice even coat. And this stuff's really easy to work with as long as you don't glob it on too much. It really just settles the way it should and coats the way it should. And you don't want to, you don't want to put too much on, just enough to cover it and make sure everything's coated. And then you want to let it sit for about an hour, I would say, is the first semi-dry. I think it takes about 3 or 4 hours to cure. So the first hour, you just let it dry again, and then you want to hit it with another coat. So this, what I've done here is actually 2 coats only. They were rather thick coats, but yeah, that's all it needed. So after an hour, you can put on the second coat, and then after that, I think it's fully dry in about 2 hours. You might want to let it cure longer, because if you touch the finish before it's fully cured or fully dried, you can leave like fingerprints or you can leave marks. So you know, it might be a good idea just to leave it sit overnight before you start putting the hardware and stuff back on. But up to that point, it took me about 3 hours to fully take the guitar apart, tape it up, paint it, and refinish it. So it's a really easy, kind of a streamlined process. You don't need a lot of stuff. All this stuff is super cheap. It's pretty foolproof because you can, again, you can remove the paint as you're painting until you get it perfect. And the finish itself speaks for itself. It's nice and clear. It looks professional. It's I'm just going to go ahead and go over it again just to show you. So yeah, nice glossy finish. And arch tops are a little harder to get it perfect because it tends to pool, you know, where the contours are. So I think I got a tiny bit of pooling there, but it's really hard to see. You have to catch it in the light just perfect. So it really did come out nicely. And yeah, you could paint whatever you want on it and really customize your guitar. Especially a cheaper guitar that maybe you don't like the branding or the look of, but it plays great and sounds great. That was the case for this example. I just wanted to customize it. So yeah, super easy. You do not need a lot of materials. I mean, altogether this probably cost me about $20 to do, and it took me about 3 hours. So yeah, pretty cool. On my next build, I'll make sure that I have all the footage of the entire process. But in the meantime, thanks for checking in to Beckler Guitars and Repair, and we'll have more for you really soon. Have a good day.